Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, you're on mute. All participants are on mute at this point, and we have Bruce joining us. Thank you, Bruce.
Okay, so Bruce, since you're our only participant, we will speak directly to you. You can type your questions in the chat function if you have questions that you have for Donovan, and then I will ask them for you so we can get those answered for you. Okay. All right, so Donovan, what do you want me to call you today? I always call you Donovan. That's not what everybody else calls you.
It's funny, I get that name. Everyone asks me all the time, like, well, who are you? And it depends on who I'm talking to. So I'll go by Rick or Donovan. Sometimes Rick Donovan, but mostly just Donovan. It's easy.
Okay. All right. So why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself? Who are you, Donovan? I know you just said your name, but tell me about you and your business. Actually, start with you first. So you're married?
Married, yes. Married for 24 years now. Have 5 beautiful little girls, and well, they're not so little anymore, but they're still, they own my heart. So it's changed everything. Actually, it's interesting that I had been doing portraiture for about 15 years before I got married and had my own kids. And being a family portrait artist, it changed everything. All of a sudden, I saw things very different. I started seeing things through the client's eyes instead of just the photographer's eyes. And that really made a huge impact on me. Like, all of a sudden, hey, as a dad, I wouldn't buy that image, but this one I would. It may not pass the PPFA requirements for print judging, but it sure is going to pass the requirements for being up on someone's wall.
Right. Right, that emotional connection versus what would
technical ability.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so 5 daughters, and you have a cat. I've seen your cat, so I know you have one.
Yes, animals. It's funny because oddly enough, I was thinking today, the first wall portrait I ever sold was back in 1979, I think, and it was a 20 by 30, so it really wasn't that big, but it was of a dog.
Oh, funny.
Yeah, it wasn't even of people. It was a dog all by itself in a fancy kind of a Victorian chair. So I just never saw anybody buy a wall portrait, and I certainly never saw one of an animal before. So it kind of tells you how important animals are to their owners.
Yeah. Well, they're family too. Okay, so tell me about your business. So you've been in business for a long time.
Just a little while. Yeah, I started back in the late 70s. Just oddly enough, somebody was I was taking a class at Boeing in drafting, engineering, and that kind of thing, and Boeing was going to hire me. But I was starving because I wasn't able to work because I was going to class full time, and what little work I was doing wasn't bringing in any income. And someone knew I loved photography, and they said, go down and look at the studio. So, just check out their work. I went down into the studio. It was completely empty. There was nobody in there that day for some reason. It was a very high volume studio. And I'm looking at the work on the wall, looking around going, huh, interesting. And they had everything up on the wall. And some lady comes up to me and says, oh, can I help you? And I said, no, I'm just looking. She walked away. She comes back. She goes, are you a photographer? Now, I don't know how she knew that. I really didn't say anything other than I'm just looking. And I said, well, not really, but I really like it. It's something I want to do. And she goes, well, we're accepting applications. I go, well, and I was poor. I had a beard down to there. I had hair out to there. I mean, my hair was enormous. And I was not ready for, to fill out an application. And she insisted. She handed it to me. I sat down, filled it out. The owner was there. He drugged me into his office, little guy wearing a suit and tie. Man, that guy looked sharp. And here I am dressed in rags, basically, with my long hair, unkempt look. And he hired me. So
wow.
I had to trim my beard quite a bit. And my hair just a bit, but he hired me. I don't have any idea why. Trained me how to do high volume sales and high volume photography, and I was scared to death. I was so afraid to get in the room with the clients and be alone with them. Didn't mind the training too much, but when it came to just doing it myself, I was scared out of my mind.
So that's, I think, a lot what holds people back a lot from selling in general, but more specifically selling the wall portraits. So what did you do when you were fearful, and how did you overcome that so that you were successful in the sales room?
Well, the thing is that they made me. They forced me to do it.
So what do you do when you don't have anybody to force you?
Well, it pays to have a coach or a best friend or somebody who says, no, you can't, there's no backing out. It reminds me of the story of, I think it was Alexander the Great, some conqueror took all his ships from his country to the country they wanted to conquer. And when they landed on the shore, they burned all the ships. So there's no way to go back. You have to complete the mission, which was to conquer whatever country they were going to conquer at the time. And if there's no way to if there's no way to go back, if there's no safety net, then it's amazing what you'll do, because you'll have to rise to the occasion and do the thing that you didn't want to do, the thing that scares you to death. So my advice, I guess, to somebody out there who's scared to death is remove the safety net, get rid of the second job, or whatever it is that is keeping you comfortable and safe, and be a little bit dangerous. What's the worst thing that can happen? Fail.
And I know that you're not suggesting that everyone should quit their jobs if they need to support their families, but, well, then, yeah, I agree.
I would suggest that they should work as though they don't have a fallback plan. Work as though this is something that they have to do. And I guarantee you, all of a sudden something will happen. Your brain will start thinking about things that they won't think about failure. It won't be thinking about that, fallback plan, that safety net. It'll be thinking about, how am I going to do this? And that's all you're going to be focused on.
Right. And I think that is it's a mindset change. I think a lot of times photographers get caught up in, their work and how beautiful their images are. And although that's important, in business, if you're going to have photography as a business, you need to think of it as a business. So I think that's where a lot of photographers get stuck, is that they don't naturally have that mindset. They're more the right brain versus the left brain. But is it possible for photographers to train themselves to have that left brain mentality, but still have that creative edge and still really love what they do? Is it possible for them to train themselves and have a successful business?
Well, that is a brilliant question, because that is really kind of what it came down to for me. I can just be the artist, the starving artist, right? Like everybody else I knew in photography, or I could be more like the guy who hired me, who was making a lot of money. Terrible photographer. He didn't get into photography because he was a photographer. He got into it because he saw a business opportunity. Completely different mindset. And to be honest with you, I sold tens of thousands of dollars worth of really awful photography. I didn't know it was awful, so it wasn't like I lacked integrity. I just thought I was the greatest, and that confidence came through in my sales room, and people bought. So to get over it, basically, it's to me, it's a means to an end. I balance my checkbook because I know that will allow me to do the things that I want to do. It's like stopping and putting gas in your car. If you do that once in a while, then you can keep going places. But if you don't stop, if you don't change the oil, if you don't do little maintenance things, then you can't have you can't have the kind of fun that you really want to have. Now, Bruce asked a question. I can't read it though. If you can.
Oh. Let's see.
And that's a much longer answer to what I was saying earlier. About that conversion, because I do have an experience that was amazing about kind of coming out of my shell and being able to mix my business and my photography at the same time. So I'll have to save that story for another day.